Right, it's time for the news headlines. Here's Maps. Good morning.
Good morning, Koja. How are you?
Not bad at all. You look rested as usual.
Yeah, I feel great. Are you excited for 90s Jam tonight?
You have no idea. I've been practicing my breakdancing.
And
it's going well.
You know, you're what. All right, Koja. Hope to see you tonight, yeah?
Yes, absolutely.
All right, now to our news. The Interior Ministry has imposed a curfew on Chereponi and Saboba townships in the northern region following the renewal of communal clashes there between Kokombas and Chokosis. Several homes in 3 communities have been burnt down, with 3 persons sustaining gunshot wounds. The imposition of the curfew comes as residents call for increased security following the escalation of the clashes. Here is a youth leader of the Chokosi community, Amedu Muniru.
There are about 5 villages that have been burnt. People have died. What we want is that it's one peace. We are calling on the Minister of Defense, the regional minister, and all the regional and district security council to come to the area and calm down situations. The Benda Bruno, the Benda Duni, and all others. That is when it started again. And since then, they are still moving towards Chereponi. They have targeted some villages, almost at the village, because the Achuma we are talking about is just a few meters into Tekasu, and from Tekasu, they are moving into Chereponi. That is not what we want.
But have you guys cooperated with the security services to ensure that this thing is resolved once and for all?
Yes, I would say yes, because even the security personnel who come, we receive them in Chereponi, we feed them, we give them shelter in Chereponi before they move towards the crime scene. So yes, we have cooperated with them. If you say soldiers were sent from Accra, we are not aware of that. What we are aware of is the soldiers that went yesterday in a helicopter, numbering 30 that I said earlier. But as at now, whoever says the place is calm or they have some security personnel, we have not heard or seen any of them there yet. We want the government of Ghana to come to our aid. They should help us. They should bring securities. These securities, that personnel that the MP is talking about, we've not heard of them, we've not seen them. The fight is still ongoing.
Member of Parliament for Chereponi, Samuel Jabanyite, says a fact-finding team led by RECSEC on Thursday found out that a 3rd community being inhabited by hundreds of people has been burnt down. He describes the situation as pathetic.
The situation is dire now, because the 3rd community has been burnt today, and this community is called Asari. This is a community that is over maybe 1,500 people.
And these 1,500 people, where are they now?
We can't find anybody. They just arrived where the structure has been set ablaze. So the military went to the school building, and we found an old man with a broken arm and in the building, and almost half bent. So he has been rescued, and the police vehicle is taken him to the hospital. But we are still here in the village now with the Brigadier General of the General Staff Command of the Tamale military, and then the regional police commander is also here with other policemen and then the military.
Do you know how many communities have been burnt down so far?
Today alone, 3 communities, and these are big communities.
Do you know whether anyone is dead so far as a result of these clashes?
Yeah, we haven't found any right now, but still the men are still in the bush. The military.
We are picking report that it's likely that they will impose curfew on the...
Yes, it has been approved. The curfew is approved now, and it's starting from 4 p.m. this morning to 7 a.m.
The Ghana Police Service is set to clamp down on private security firms that have failed to comply with the regulations governing the operations of private security firms in the country. Director General of the Private Security Operations, ACP Francis Abwajenyako, says such firms risk closure or being heavily sanctioned after the 1-year moratorium given them has expired. He was speaking at a meeting with some private security firms in the country, and Richard Kojenyako has more.
The private security industry, according to the Ghana Police Service, is fundamental and key to the operations of government and the police administration. The operations impact on crime fighting and largely complement the efforts of the security agencies in the country. Director General of the Private Security Operations, Assistant Commissioner of Police, Francis Abwajenyako, the operations of these security firms have become crucial and must be monitored to bring the needed synergy.
The first on that we want you to comply with is the uniform regime. We want the private security, precisely the operatives, to be in a prescribed uniform. A prescribed uniform that the police administration, in tandem with APSOC, the private security organization, and the Ministry of Interior, sat and came out with a prescribed uniform that each and every operative is supposed to wear. The administration gave the industry 1 year moratorium to prepare for the changeover. The year moratorium has come to an end. We are appealing to the private security operatives to comply with the wearing of uniforms.
He says after the expiration of the 1 year moratorium given by government for them to comply with the regulations of private security agencies, defiant private security firms would have their licenses revoked and put before courts and the appropriate sanctions applied.
There are sanctions to that. The sanctions are you can be arraigned before a competent court of jurisdiction. When you are found culpable, you can be fined, imprisoned, or your license revoked.
CEO for Paradigm Security Systems, Kwesi Afol, appealed to government to support private security operations to enable them complement the efforts of the security agencies in the country.
Funding is a problem. Getting banks to help you. I'll take this opportunity to appeal to the government to come to the aid of private security agencies. Our business is capital intensive. We need to buy a lot of logistics to run. And we need, now that the consolidated bank is all over the place, if the government can put in place some kind of funding with a minimal interest for private security agencies, I think it will go a long way to help us.
Richard Kwejonyako, Joy News, Cape Coast.
The National Democratic Congress has expressed disappointment over what it says was the abysmal and fraudulent conduct of the recent plebiscites by the Electoral Commission. According to the party, there is evidence that officers deployed to oversee the process engaged in malpractices, which the Commission has failed to address. At a media briefing Thursday, Deputy General Secretary Peter Otukono said the chairperson of the Commission, Jean Mensa, simply failed her first task. Here's Joshua Smith's reports.
The injunction was an ex-party one. We discussed that with our legal team. They advised that since the injunction was to last a time period of 10 days, we should allow for the time to elapse. Then they would guide us as to the way forward. And we have met here to resume the process whilst we wait for the hearing of the expert.
Deputy General Secretary Peter Otukono says the polls were appalling and deceitful and clearly shows a great danger for the future of Ghana as the 2020 elections approach.
The abysmal and fraudulent conduct of the referenda clearly vindicates our position. This represents a clear and a present danger for the future of this country, especially as the 2020 polls and elections approach. The non-partisan nature of the referenda and the convergence of interest in the creation of the regions may have limited and tempered the response of various stakeholders to the manipulation and the fraud by the EC officials.
He added that the EC chairperson does not consider herself an occupant of an independent office, but openly flaunts her ties with the new patriotic party appointees in a manner she would not with the opposition NDC.
As EC chair, she has not found it necessary to shed the partisan gap and consider herself the occupant of an independent office. Instead, Jean Mensa openly flaunts her ties with the MPP appointees in a manner she will never do with the NDC officials. We wish to serve notice to Jean Mensa and her lieutenants, especially Dr. Bosman Asare at the Electoral Commission, that the National Democratic Congress will not accept any new electoral register compiled based on the Ghana card, which excludes voter ID cards as a means of identification or registration. If EC Chair once again sees herself as an MPP appointee and feels obliged to act in accordance with the President's wishes, she would bear the full responsibility for any consequences thereof.
Sure.
Peter Otokuno added that the National Identification Authority has failed to heed calls from segments of society to include the voter's ID card in the list of identification in the national registration exercise.
The Ghana card and the new voters register. The National Identification Authority has failed to heed calls from well-meaning segments of society to include the voter ID card in the list of identification materials for registration in the national registration exercise. Here too, President Akufo-Addo has shown his hands as the driving force behind the move by robustly defending the unreasonable decision of the Ken Atefa-led NIA not to accept voter ID cards as a means of registration. Yet, the same ID cards qualified voters to vote in the just-ended referenda they called.
The NDC believes video footages showed multiple voting by the Electoral Commission officials and others recruited for that purpose. Joshua Smith's report for JoyNews.
Meanwhile, the chiefs and people of Buem traditional area in the Jasikan district are lobbying government to pick Jasikan as the regional administrative capital of the newly endorsed Otu region. The Nifahini of Buem, Nana Opari Akuyamwa, indicated Jasikan best suits the administrative regional capital as it was previously the headquarters for the then Buam Krachi District Council, which comprised the entire Otu enclave in 1952. Speaking at the Otu region referendum victory rally in Jasikan, Nana Opra said Jasikan was declared a statutory planning area in 1959 and provided infrastructure for all the decentralized public departments for effective administrative works. Fred Kwame Asari reports.
Nana Oprao Ekuama added that Jasikan is strategically positioned geographically in the OT enclave and has the needed infrastructure to kickstart administration of the new region. He, however, employed government not to centralize all major functions and activities of the regional capital in a single location.
The position of the chiefs and people of Buem is that it is important from the onset for government to determine and review over time a regional development model that seeks to make judicious use of the natural and other resources of the OT region. The concept to choose should be one that values every community and its people within the OT region, who constitute the core purpose of development. It therefore does not make good planning to combine in a single location major functions and activities like administration, industrial, agriculture, and processing, education, and commerce. Ladies and gentlemen, in view of the foregoing, Buem is looking at the regional capital territory, which comprises an administrative capital with other functional activities appropriately located outside the capital.
The Jasikan District Chief Executive, Lawrence Aziale, outlined preparations are far advanced to ready Jasikan to host the OT region administrative capital.
We proposed this long ago, and so my office and the central administration and the Jasikan administration began to prepare the way. As we speak, the residency for the regional minister is ready. So we have the land, the electoral resources to hold the regional capital. We equally have the human capital.
Member of Parliament for Buem, Daniel Esiama, urged chiefs to ensure government appointees follow a strategic plan in developing the OT enclave.
We have started discussing them on the radio. The proximity and the center spot of OT region, that is Jasikan. what is the right thing that must be done? In the planning of a city, we need a proper plan. The access road, residential places, those things must be taken a critical look at. I'll plead with Nanano in the OT enclave that we don't just have to allow the excuse to say the people that may be appointed to lead this region to put the structures anyhow. When it happens that way, in the future, our city will be messed up.
The rally was preceded by a victory walk in the principal streets of Jasekine to show appreciation to President Akufo-Addo for the new region. Meanwhile, the Minister for Regional Reorganization, Dan Botry, indicated President Akufo-Addo will seek the advice of technocrats in picking capitals for the 6 endorsed regions. Fred Kwame Asari, Joy News, Jasekine.
To end the bulletin, a 68-year-old woman is battling with strange conditions of her 3 adult children who suddenly lost their ability to walk in their prime age. Akosia Pokwa and her children are on the verge of being thrown out of their present accommodation in a string of eviction over the past 5 years. The task of single-handedly feeding them has become a huge challenge for the jobless old woman. Love FM's Erastus Asari Donko visited their home from where he filed this report.
Enoch, Hannah, and Eunice Frimpong were born normal, able-bodied children until 5 years ago when each one of them started noticing they could no longer use their legs. They can barely leave the confines of this partially completed single bedroom. The best they can do is to drag themselves on these wooden stools to sit out here on the veranda for warmth.
To me, as a German and Prairie, never many, and I'm a Sacrano, I bet that mean anything. If it's a miracle, we are operation, if it's a brand permanent, mean to me, and Antibi. A best about 5 years. And I mean permanent.
I was working alright, but when I go to Form 3 and I woke up one day morning, I couldn't even stand up.
The male and youngest of them has a passion for electronics. Enoch tells me he could do something for himself if he had a wheelchair to be able to move around.
I want to be electronics repairer.
You can do it.
Yeah, I can do it.
Under the circumstance, Madame Pokuya is compelled to bath them, empty their chamber pots, and take care of their feeding on a daily basis. Her age is, however, taking a toll on her ability to effectively discharge these responsibilities.
If you see, but see, my coat to gentlemen, and I am ya. When you call from I am VC, to me, could say, the papa, Baba, you know, Uncle Pocran and one man could take our also. We do real way to me who baby as an army for some for some color, no money. Just a minute would be a young Michelle woman.
Then I will hear some, I don't for him.
Oh, dear me, dear. They say, come here, baby, tonight. Na face ya minya sika kakra so aka me dada ho me de hwe wo mo chese me ni hwefo bia wo ba bia ne edi.
Madame Pokuya wishes for help to pay her rent and seek medical help for her children before death lays its hands on her. Reporting for Joy News, Erastus Asari Donko.
That will be all for the AM News. I'm a PCCB Kojo Yangson. Over to you.
I really enjoyed that bulletin. You handled those names like a trooper. Well done. Good job.
I tried.
You did indeed.
Thank you.
Well, MAPS returns later in the day with JoyNews Interactive. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yes? Excellent. Well, I can't wait. I'll tell you what else I can't wait for. It's the newspaper review. 3 newspapers made it out of the presses this morning. We'll review them right after these.